Work-life balance coaching. Or if you're a coach or you're looking for a coach, well, hey, you've come to the right place. We're going to talk through work-life balance. How does it work? Does it still exist in coaching? When we can live life on our terms, on a holistic level, taking into account not just our business lives, but also our health, all of our relationships, from friends, family, to our partners, the world changes. So when it comes to getting coached on work-life balance, let's initially start right out of the gate with the concept of what is work-life balance today. So to a lot of people, they aspire for this mythical work-life balance. And I have to tell you, I've come to the conclusion that I don't know that I really believe it exists. I think that with the modern environment we choose to live in, particularly with the electronics, with our phones, with TV, with everything, there are so many distractions that we can empower ourselves to never ever have balance. You can get emails at 2 in the morning. You can be checking your scores at 6 in the morning and breakfast. But I do firmly in my heart believe that a healthy work-life integration is possible. So where balance isn't possible, a healthy work-life integration is. And what I mean by that is we have now the ability to be very, very flexible in our work environments, to be very, very flexible in our personal lives. There's a lot of people who have opportunities to work at home all or at least some of the time, but there's also a lot of people who have flexibility. So if you have young kids, well, it's never been more acceptable for you to leave in the middle of the afternoon to go to a ballet recital. Just as there's certain expectations that maybe we need done on certain occasions for you to check those emails a little bit in the evening. Fair enough. I think what's important, first and foremost, is that you acknowledge that that has changed, but it's you, the person you look at in the mirror each morning when you're brushing your teeth, that has the opportunity to help you change that and make that better. So the 4 areas we're going to hit on is number 1, helping you to define what it looks like. I hope you guys are loving that cardinal the way I am, sorry. Second is making sure that you choose to live with intention. Once we define what success looks like, second, then how do we start to live with intention? The third is we'll talk about a couple of tools and techniques to make it better. And then the last is we're going to talk about maybe changing the paradigm of how you look at work-life integration and the balance with it. So to start with, let's look at what the idea for a whole person is. You're like, dude, I need some tools. That's why I'm here. Okay, fair enough. We will get you some work-life balance tools. First, what I'm going to suggest is that you can go to our website, lifeon-yourterms.com. Now, this is a book that I've written that talks about this. It's a fable, quick, easy read. I'm not selling the book. Go to lifeon-yourterms.com, and on that page, you're going to find something called the balance wheel. On the balance wheel, you're welcome to take it. It doesn't cost you anything, no expectations. I do ask for an email. But once you have that, it takes about 7-8 minutes, and at the end of that time, it's going to give you immediate results. And what this does is it's an assessment that looks at your life in a holistic way. You have to have an idea of where you're starting from and where do you want to go. What would amazing look like? So the balance wheel itself will come out with it has 4 quadrants, 3 in each section, so there's 12 slices of the pie. One section talks about relationships, your partner, your friends and family. Another one talks about your health, your physical, your mental, and your spiritual. And another one talks about your resources, time, talent, and treasure. And then lastly, it talks about our environment, our work environment. But remembering that we're a whole person and that all of those together are critical for you to define what does actual healthy work-life integration, quote unquote, healthy work-life balance look like, and that's where you can look at it. So first off, start there, get an idea of how you're doing. Now, when you have those results, if you're like, man, crushing it over here, but over here, man, I kind of suck at this. I wish I was spending more time with family, or I wish I was, being more present with my kids, or not happy with this belly. What can I be doing about it? Well, hope. You can hope, but candidly, hope is a crappy strategy. So first, we create that awareness with the balance wheel. Then second, once you have that, you're going to be able to go through and start to figure out how to live with intention. Now, if you try and change everything on there, you're type A and you want to go make everything happen and change right away, you're probably setting yourself up for failure. So what I would encourage is look at 1 or 2 or 3 things that you can start to look at to make that difference today. So I'm going to give a few examples of things that you can do to start helping find that healthier work-life integration. So we still have jobs, you still have family, you still have all sorts of distractions. But number one thing is if you can start figuring out how you can address your sleep better. Sounds crazy, but I work with a lot of people and we are so sleep deprived that when we're sleep deprived, we end up in a different wavelength in our brains. We're actually in a constant fight or flight mode. Cortisol is pumping through, and we don't make as many positive decisions as we could be. We end up in that reactionary mode. I'm always trying to help people to transition from a reactionary state to a proactive state. When you can do that, you start to have a much better position of where you want to go. So, to do that, number one, super simple, sleep. So, if you have a device, I would highly encourage that you leave it in the other room. If there's a million books on it that will tell you how to sleep better. I can help you with those. We've got other videos on that. But starting to think about how can you really protect yourself and go to sleep as early as you can, so that if you go to bed a little bit earlier, you don't have that phone, you're not scrolling on TikTok or whatever floats your boat, and you're like, and you go to sleep a little bit earlier. Well, it's going to allow you to rest a little bit more, and who knows, maybe you can actually wake up a little bit earlier. If you wake up a little bit earlier, setting the intention for the day can help. And again, there's a million books written on this. But if you have questions, put it in the comments below and let me know and I'll help with it. But the purpose is that you start putting more intention with that. Because it's like, well, most people want to get a little bit more fit. So if it means that you go to bed a little bit earlier and you wake up a little bit earlier and you have 15 to 20 minutes to go for a walk, a simple, basic walk. It sounds crazy, but it is so valuable without your devices, to sort of put your head on straight for the day, think about where you want to go, what are the things that you have to do from a priority standpoint. This starts to set the intention, but it'll also set the table for the whole entire rest of the day. Now there's other points when we talk about living with intention. They can be as simple as when you're at the office. If I've had CEOs that I work with, and I work with people all over the world, who get really flustered. It's like, yeah, man, I pay these guys really well, and they don't listen to me. I have to tell them 4 freaking times before they say anything in more colorful language. And the reality is that a lot of times they do, because that senior leader has set an example where they're not being quite as present as they could be. They aren't being as intentional with people. So just try this. This is a very simple tool, but it works very well. Is when somebody comes in and says, hey, Kris, how do you help me with this? How does this work? You could be typing away, doing 3 things at the same time, excuse me, but you're not being very intentional. But if you stop, fold your computer down, say, okay, tell me again, what was that? And then look into their soul and say, okay, how would you handle it? How can I help you with this? How can I be of value and service? This is how I want this to be done, whatever it may be. But by doing that, when you look at them, you're connecting with them. And the likelihood of you having to say that 2 or 3 or 4 more times goes down dramatically. If they're busy, wait and say, hey, look, do you mind just holding on? Come and look at me. Tell me where you're at. And I know this sounds crazy, but if you have 5-year-olds, this is the exact same thing. Unfortunately, it works the same way with, 55-year-old Steve over in accounting. If you can help people in this way, you can be more present with what you do. Now, this also works when you go home at night, when you're with your kids, with your spouse. So it's coming up with ways that you can be as present in what you're doing as you can be. I believe that being present is hands down the number one gift we can give anyone today, because we are so distracted by everything. And that includes yourself. So if you're going for a walk in the morning, be very, very present. If you happen to be on the floor with your 3-year-old playing Barbie Fun Time, right on. Be as 100% present with that as you can. If you're checking your phone, cool, be present. But put it aside then. So I often try and get my leaders, when they come home, to have a special place where they put their phone. Maybe it's a charging port that they actually drill a hole in, they put it in a drawer. So that way it's there. It's there if they need it. But for the most part, we have been so trained to constantly be looking at the damn things. It's easy for us to get hijacked all the time. Now, these are very simple techniques, and there's 100 more that you go very deep in how you do this. But it's starting to create the intentionality of where do we all want to improve our lives. And when we start improving those lives, even if it's little bits of arbitrage of time, little changes here and there, well, amazing things starts to happen. We start to become more present in other ways, and you're going to start to become a healthier person. You're going to become a better spouse. You'll become a better parent. You'll become a better boss. But you have to start, and you have to be patient with yourself. Create that awareness, catch yourself, break that habit. Got myself good, let it go, and move on to the next piece. But when you start to look at things more importantly, what is the intention you should be investing in? Is this really good use of my time? Should I be here? Then you're going to start to focus on those things and you'll do a better job. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is the idea around time blocking. Yeah, got notes. So when it comes to time blocking, there's a bunch of different stuff out there. There's a great book called The One Thing. I can't remember the name of the guy who wrote it, but I really enjoyed the book. He goes through and he scientifically debunks the concept of multitasking. So how many people out there think they're good at multitasking? Sorry, here to tell you it's not true. Multitasking is a myth. We aren't good at multitasking, especially with complex thinking, complex problems, and especially when it comes to relationships and interpersonal skills. Multitasking with interpersonal skills is total bullshit. It's not possible. So this is where, if you can start to say, where should I be investing my time? How can I invest my time? And to start with, you may go through and create awareness. So a very simple exercise to do this is throughout the day, go through in about roughly 15-minute blocks. Just make a note of what you did every 15 minutes. I know this sounds tedious, but it will create amazing awareness. You'll be like, oh my God, I checked my email 18 times this morning. Or I went and hit the news sites 9 times. That's me. I was on Facebook 27 times today. Not me, but there are people who that's what is happening. And it's because we end up in these habits. So the concept of time blocking would suggest that, Kluver, you saying I shouldn't answer any emails? No, not at all. But I am saying that nobody is going to die if you don't answer an email in an hour. So maybe you choose to say, okay, I'm going to invest my time in make sure I do my emails, but I'm going to do it for 30 minutes when I get in the morning, and then I'm going to do it for 30 minutes before lunch, and then an hour at the end of the day, so I get to put everything to bed. If you put more intention in that, and when you go heads down, I'm just hammering out emails, I'm going to handle all this, one shot, one and done, great, move on, it's off your plate, you will do better. I've gotten to the point where I haven't always been the best when I come home from work. Sometimes I'm cooked and I don't want to engage with Rika the way I should. Shame on me. So I've realized though, that if I can block just 10 minutes of my day when I come home and I sit knee to knee with her and say, hey, tell me about your day, and look into her eyes and be incredibly, incredibly present, I'm going to get more out of that, and she loves it. It fills her love bucket to the rim. It's so much better than me being half-assed, working on my phone, dealing, going through, scrolling, and going, yeah, well, good, how was your day? Oh yeah, really? Okay, great. And we do that, we chronically do that. Next time you're at a restaurant, think about this. Next time you're at a restaurant, I would challenge you to leave your phone in the car. Go in, enjoy your meal, and look around at how many people are on their phones. It is astronomical because people are not being present. They aren't blocking the time to be with each other. So if you choose to invest that time, then be very, very present. You will get more out of it. It sounds like, no, I need to do 3 things at the same time. You will get much more if you only do one thing at a time, all the way through, and do it exceptionally well, and then move to the next thing. Okay, so then the last thing, and we're going to tie this up, when it comes to work-life balance and coaching, and being coached on it, one of the biggest things that I need to shift people's thinking in is to actually, in some respects, start to become more selfish. Now, not selfish in I'm going to eat the last piece of pie or get out of my way or push people. What it means is give yourself permission to actually protect yourself as the asset. And what I mean specifically with this, when it comes to sleep, well, no, I had to stay up and do those other things. Did you really have to do that? Because if you would say, yeah, you know what, I can leave the dishes in the sink tonight and I'm gonna go to bed because I need to get rested and then I'll be more happy in the morning. If you don't and you stay up that extra hour getting everything done, getting it perfect, and then you get up early and you take care of the laundry and all that other stuff or whatever it may be, and you're grumpy about it, do you think your young kids are gonna care more that the kitchen was a mess or that you were grumpy? Do you think your employees are gonna care more that you snapped at them because you were frustrated, or they said, no, give me an hour and let me finish this stuff up? It's one of those things where we end up with sort of this martyr syndrome where we have to get out of our own way. So with this, considering that you're the primary asset, whether it be of your home, of your relationship, in your department, whatever it may be, but it's okay for you to sometimes be selfish, as long as it's going to help create and empower you to be the best you can be, which therefore you can be of the greatest value for others. So when we think about this, we're going back to the work-life balance coaching, work-life balance as a coach. If you think about just starting in these 4 areas, as a whole person, how do we approach that? You can go to lifeon-yourterms.com. Living with intention, being more clear, ultra present. Third, let's block out some time, be focused on what you're doing. And lastly, it's okay to be selfish. So if you've enjoyed this, please check out some of the other videos on our channel, like it, subscribe, and if you have any questions, right on, reach out. Thank you. Keep smiling.